Hey guys, this is Jed Antune with Dexcomm Answering Service and Call Center, 24/7 live agent call center out of Carencro, Louisiana. I'm here to talk to you today about streamlining your integration with your answering service, specifically to ServiceTitan users. Just a little bit about our company. We are once again Dexcomm, 24/7 live agent service out of Carencro, Louisiana. We have a mission, a reason for existence each and every day of providing compassionate professional concern to communications. That's communications with our callers, our clients, our colleagues, and our community. My name's Jed Antune. I've been with the company since June of 2016. Very excited to hit my 5-year mark this coming summer. And I'm the head of our team revenue department. That's what we call our sales and marketing team. And so I've had the privilege of speaking to a majority of our prospects when they come in with their issues. And I want to take this time to speak specifically to anyone out there who has ServiceTitan as their scheduling platform. You're most likely in the HVAC, plumbing, or electrical industry, maybe even dabble in multiple services. I'm speaking to you, whether you have an answering service currently or you are taking it all in-house. This is really a message to you guys, and I hope this is helpful and provides value. The struggle, I really hear for general scenarios that prospects are dealing with when they come in with a need for our assistance, specifically ServiceTitan users. One, they either have an in-house team that's inundated with during hours traffic, meaning they don't have a service that's supporting them during the business hours, and their in-house team is struggling to field the phone calls. Number one, it may not be their primary job to field inbound phone calls. They may have other responsibilities that take priority, but how do you juggle that when the phone begins to ring? Because we all know that phone ringing, there's most likely dollars behind making that phone ring, and it's critical that that lead or that customer or that need is captured because there's most likely revenue tied to it. So how do you juggle those things? You're going to end up with incomplete tasks here or there, or missed phone calls on the other end. It's a lose-lose situation. Even if you do have an in-house call center of CSRs, maybe 2 or 3 is what I commonly hear, upwards of 4 or 5 if you're dealing with a little bit bigger of an operation. Even that many or that few of CSRs can become inundated in the busier seasons when call traffic just seems to come in one call after another. And it's very difficult to place callers on hold for an extended period of time, or God forbid, miss the call entirely and have those individuals calling your competitors in your area. So that is one scenario, no service and an in-house team inundated with during hours phone traffic. Same scenario, but after hours. You do not have a service provider that is assisting you with your inbound phone calls. And that same team, whether they're a CSR dedicated to the phones or everyone's kind of grouping together to answer the call traffic during hours, to then task them to do that after hours, it can be a big issue. One, because from a work-life balance standpoint of your employees, they've been busting it from 8 to 5 for you and for the business, and then only to task them with either taking home an employee on-call cell phone or having them forward the business line to their personal phone. That is very, very tiring. For that employee, the burnout rate is going to be very fast. You're not going to get the productivity you need out of them during hours, and even after hours. There's going to be issues with answering that line because they're going to be exhausted, and they have the right to be exhausted. On the flip side of that, from an ownership standpoint, there's a trust concern there because that employee is technically off the clock. And when they are off the clock and they're dealing with their families or their friends or their personal extracurricular activities, some of those calls may go missed. And as an owner, I know you want transparency. I know you want efficiency and effectiveness, and you want to capture every single call that comes through that business line because, once again, there's marketing dollars behind that, making that phone ring, and there's revenue dollars on the other end of a job being created from that. So having an in-house team, whether it's during hours or after hours with no provider help, is an issue on multiple fronts. Something I hear very often. Now, if you have a service But the service is what I call more of a traditional service, and they're not offering the bells and whistles of integrating with your ServiceTitan platform. They're simply able to take a message, first and last name, phone number, physical address, the reason for the call, and deliver it over to one of your staff members for follow-up. Although that is very beneficial because you most likely have someone answering in a timely fashion. Hopefully, you have transparency and confidence that all the calls are being fielded. You still require that in-house staff member, on-call team member available after hours to field that message, right? To field that message and work whatever additional process needs to happen in order to either get the on-call technician out to an emergency job or put that information into your system, the administrative time of having to re-enter the message into the system. Yes, good. They didn't have to be tied to a phone and be tasked with answering that phone call, but the work is still there. The burnout still occurs, and it's still a frustration. And last scenario, a service, an answering service, call center service that you may have working with your ServiceTitan platform. However, you are asking them to manually log in. If you have ServiceTitan and you have an answering service provider and they're working with ServiceTitan, my question to you would be, have you provided them with logins, username, and passwords to where they then have to log into your specific ServiceTitan instance when they receive a call on your account's behalf? That can be an issue. For one, we're very familiar with this issue, so this is nothing on anyone else because we were doing this for a good while, a few years back when we first started with ServiceTitan. It was the only option we had at the time was to have our agents working in our call center platform where they field the calls and the account scripting exists, only to then launch a second browser maybe on a secondary monitor and work in two systems at once. You can already start to gain a sense from an agent standpoint, what the issue may be, right? They're having to juggle completing the in-house platform work as well as making sure the customer's platform work externally is having all of the data entry in it. So there's double entry going on. There's back and forth for the agent. There is an awkwardness to the call for the caller. And I think that's even more so the important piece is that the caller, the customer, is having this odd caller experience. Hopefully the agent is doing a decent job juggling not only both systems, but also the engagement with the caller, but you're really, really, putting a burden on your service and expecting a lot of your agents as a service if you're still working manual logins. And you'll see that frustration come through in long call durations, extensively long call durations, having to place callers on hold because they're either having to load up a system or ask a question, or sometimes, depending on how many calls you have come through at one time, you may have only provided your service with one or two logins, hopefully, two or three, so that concurrently they can take a few calls at once. Otherwise, if you happen to send two calls at once to your call center, they have to log each other out, or they may end up logging each other out or waiting to log in until the other agent is done booking that job through the login. So tons of issues come up, tons of things you need to be aware of and talk to your service about, whether it's Dexcomm or not. I just want to make you aware of the different struggles that you may have or you may be able to identify with, and some of the reasons why they're inefficient. The solution: one, an over communicative partner. Emphasis on over and partner. You need to never make an assumption that when you partner with a third party, they understand your needs. Even if they've done it before. When you work with Dexcomm, we work with a ton of ServiceTitan users, a ton of folks in the HVAC, plumbing, electrical fields. It does not mean that when I take a phone call, I say, oh, no worries. I've worked with a ton of businesses such as yours. No need for us to have any additional conversation. I know all I need to know. There's a point where your service provider is an expert, and there's a point where they're maybe overconfident or too assuming, and that only leads to failure early, especially early on in your partnership in them taking phone calls. So over communicate your goals, over communicate what you want to see out of the caller experience, out of the message, out of the job booking, out of the escalation to on call for emergency situations. Over communicate. And also, it may be a red flag if your service is not over communicating back with you. If you're not a bit frustrated, especially during that sales process, during the onboarding phase, and early on in that account partnership or relationship, if you're not seeing over communication, some things are most likely slipping through the cracks, and you'll see that with your customers following up with you with frustrations with your service, in the messages you receive, and your technicians not having what they need to perform their job duties. It'll come through. Over communicate may seem like a burden up front, but I promise you it's going to pay a million dividends in the end. And make sure, if your service provider isn't pushing this, that you do as a customer, as a heady customer, be goal oriented versus process oriented, because those two things are different. And if you let your service know of the goals you have in mind, of the end results you're looking for, they may have more insight into what processes need to occur, or what processes shouldn't happen because of XYZ, that'll get you the best results that you're looking for. And lastly, and most importantly, and kind of the breakthrough here that we experienced, was the efficiency and effectiveness of API. API, is the ability to integrate, to push and pull data through the bridges that are coded in-house by our programming team, thanks to the endpoints available by ServiceTitan. An API enables your agent, your services agents, to not have to juggle two systems, but instead they can push and pull the information, the data that they need and that you need, to and from their call center system, where they're comfortable, familiar, trained, confident, to your ServiceTitan platform, where you ultimately need that data. It's going to result in better agent call handling, shortened call duration, heightened agent engagement, because they're not so worried about two systems at once. They're worried about the system and the caller and their needs. The caller is going to be obviously more satisfied by all of those reasons I just mentioned. And also, there's a quality control of data that API brings that you cannot get from having someone manually log in. When you have someone manually log in, they have access to everything that you've granted them access to. All of those things may not be limited to what you want them manipulating in your system. If you have an API, you can work with your service, the programming onboarding team there, to only create the endpoints necessary or needed. And that way the agent, when they're working to book a job, create a customer profile, whatever it may be, they're only going to be fooling with the data endpoints that you need them to mess with, and they can leave everything else alone. It creates efficiency, it creates good quality control, and it ensures that the agent is not messing around with anything in your system that they shouldn't be messing with. Our approach. We are a very proud member of Nexstar. They are a consulting network nationwide, has 750, almost 800 plus members across HVAC, plumbing, and electrical services. They have created an environment where their members are thriving based off of taking the Nexstar way. And now I want to make sure everyone realizes that we really have a derivative of the Nexstar way here. So in no way is this the Nexstar way, but we've certainly learned a lot from our Nexstar clients, and they've helped coach us up and create this streamlined process that's the backbone of every new ServiceTitan API customer we bring on. One, we're able to, through the API, create a customer if they are new and or do not exist in your system, and or pull up an existing customer's account to verify the information. So everything you need there from a customer existing in your database, whether they're new or existing, can occur through API and our streamlined process. Filling out the job detail form. Now, there are a lot of required fields in your job detail form. There are drop-down options, and Dexcomm through API has the ability to fill out that job form to completion in order to book the job and make sure the technician has all the information that the technician needs. Now, going back to that quality control piece, we also advise, consult that we limit the number of job drop-down options or job detail drop-down options there are per field. In job types, it's very common that there are tens and tens of job type options. I highly recommend, if you're working with a service, a third-party service, work with them to create specific drop-down fields. For us, it's something like, HVAC after hours decks, or plumbing after hours decks, or during hours plumbing decks. Little things like that, little short codes like that are simply meant for your answering service, so that we can have the quality control needed to identify the correct option in your system. Because once again, you do not want to assume, just because we are experts and we have answered for thousands and thousands of phone calls from HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, it does not mean that technicians are answering your phone call. So make sure you differentiate those two. I don't mean to diminish an agent's experience or knowledge, because they certainly get the training they need to do the job right, but don't assume that they are experts as your team is, in terms of you guys just have one shirt on where you answer for your company only. These agents, no matter if they're at Dexcomm or elsewhere, are answering for a ton of customers. So work with your provider to narrow those things down for quality control. That way you're having to do a lot less back-end work of going in and readjusting the job because they got it wrong because you gave them too many options. Work to create quality control there with the job detail form. Windowless job booking. This is big. So in our streamlined process for booking jobs in ServiceTitan, what we do is we, of course, have the customer created and or verified. We complete the job detail form to the fullest with all the mandated required fields completed. And then we seek to book the job to the board. Now, I say that because a streamlined process for us is to get the job to the board. We do assign the appropriate technician based on the on-call information we receive. And from there, what we do is we let the caller know we have you in our system, we have you on the board, whether it's for an after-hours emergency or during our service need. And we will get with with the on-call technician to get back with you with an ETA on their arrival. So we are not booking them into a window, whether it's for after hours or during hours. We are not letting the customer know that we are committed to X, Y, or Z time. We are letting them know that they do not need to call another service. They do not need to call another company. We have them on our board. They can sit tight and rest assured that a technician, whether it be for HVAC, plumbing, or electrical, residential or commercial, is going to be reaching back out to them with their ETA. So you're not over promising your customers technicians, and you're getting all of the information they need into ServiceTitan where they need it. So once we begin to escalate, which is the next piece, we can escalate via phone call, text message, email, any combination or order of the three. And once we have someone on the line, ideally the on-call technician, maybe the manager on duty or a dispatcher, we let them know that the job was successfully created in ServiceTitan. They can then go there to find the job assigned to the on-call tech, manipulate that job's timing to whatever the right time is for the technician and where they are in their evening or business day, and dispatch themselves if they are the techs, and or the technician if they are the dispatcher or manager on duty. The same thing works for after hours. If someone's looking for a normal hour business job, they have no need for after hours, or maybe they're not interested in the dispatch fee, then what we'll do is we will not assign a technician, or we will leave it unassigned, or we can assign it to an office technician if that is available to us. And we'll put it for the first hour of the next business day with the same expectation setting to the customer. We have you on the board for tomorrow. Our in-house scheduling team, our in-house dispatcher, whatever the language and verbiage is, we'll get back to you, in the morning with your technician's ETA. So we're not telling them, hey, we have you on the board for 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, expect a technician out. What we're saying is, we have you on the board, no need to call anyone else. please, if you do not mind, be patient and wait for us to call you back during normal business hours with when exactly your appointment will be. The in-house team comes into the office. They don't have any messages to take on, any any data entry to re-enter into their system. They go straight into the system and see the unassigned jobs created by Dexcomm, and they work to assign a technician and a time of day based on their expertise of their own processes and operations and their own technician skill sets and who's best at doing what and what job and revenue per job may be worth prioritizing. However, the customer plans to work their system and their scheduling, because we know it's best to defer to them, and let's do as much as we can to make them successful. And that's getting that job on the board. That's our streamlined process. No matter who the Nexstar, of course, RFA, any HVAC, plumbing, electrical, no matter who the ServiceTitan user is that comes our way, we are going to fit them into this skeleton standardized process. On top of that, we can, of course, customize scripting to make sure the language, such as the greeting phrase, or if there's a certain way in which the customer wants us to ask for the data we need, or if there are fees or VIP conversations that we need to have throughout the phone call, or if there are expectation settings with what to expect when the tech comes out, or even closing statements. Any of those things can be customized so that we can sound and fit into how the customer sounds when they're answering the phones, right? We can sit in our customer's chair and really deliver a similar experience to what the customer would deliver if they were the ones to answer the phone. So all of that can be customized through scripting, but at the end of the day, the skeleton process of how we integrate with ServiceTitan remains the same. And I will say it doesn't work for everyone. It works for a majority, but it does not work for everyone. But that's okay with us, because it's the quality control that we need to have over the process so we can ensure we're delivering each and every time. If you allow, to differentiate your process per customer, it can really get tricky. And if you're having your agents manually log in, it can get very tricky, because there's no way for them to follow that process, because their call center platform can't lead them through ServiceTitan. They are just free in ServiceTitan to work the system. So I hope I've created a picture, an image of what the differences are there between, of course, one, if you don't have a service at all, and what that does in terms of inundating your team during and after hours, or two, if you have a service and they're only taking messages for you, and all of the additional work that brings to your own team, on top of what you have to pay the service to answer the phone. And even if your service is integrating with ServiceTitan, are they doing it the right way? Are they doing it the most efficient way? And are you getting the end results you're looking for out of that partnership, that relationship, that integration with your ServiceTitan piece? So thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful to you. And if you want to learn more about how we integrate with ServiceTitan and how we help our customers, please feel free to reach out to myself via email, or that is my cell phone, and I would be more than happy to help. Otherwise, I wish you the best of luck and have a great day. Thank you.